Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Working in Hockey podcast. I'm your host, Nick Bowins, and today I'm pleased to be joined by Teri Weiss, founder of Skate Armor. Teri, super excited to chat here today, learn a little bit more about you and the product that you've built. But how are you, first of all? How's the summer going?
The summer's going great. The weather hasn't been great, but overall, things are going well. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you taking the time to learn more about Skate Armor.
Absolutely. No, I love the entrepreneurial journey, as everybody's heard me say on just about every episode here of the Working in Hockey podcast, and super excited to dive into yours. So for those who don't yet know, what is Skate Armor? What are you up to? When did you get started? Give us kind of the background here, Teri.
Okay. Well, let's see. I'll do my best to keep it short. The quick answer is we make neck guards. And we also do shirts. But we make the only neck guard that was not cut through in Mayo Clinic testing for USA Hockey. Every other brand was cut through. And we also make the only neck guard that is not collar shaped. I'll show you one because I have it here with me.
Please.
So this one's closed up, but I'm going to open it real quick. We have it so your sides, your carotid and jugular, which run this way from your ear down kind of at an angle here. So it covers it better. We have this patented shape, and then we have these patented rubber tabs that are in here that keep it from rolling down because, you know, a lot of hockey players like to roll their neck guards down, or they'll roll down with the state of play or sink down. We have a product that doesn't do that. So I started it because I wanted to protect my kids better. My son had a neck guard that I was able to cut through, and he had told me that it sucked, right? He just said he'd taken a skate or a stick blade to the neck one time. He came home and I was like, what happened? He told me. I said, were you wearing your neck thingy? And he said, no. I said, why not? He said, Mom, because it sucks. He was 9. And I said, take it out of your bag. Let's look at it. So he took it out, and I agreed with him. Like, it was rough and it was small. And I was like, well, why did I even buy this thing for him? He's not wearing it. And then I took it into the kitchen, and I took one pass with my common cutlery knife, like to cut chicken, and it cut right through it. And it just was it was really one of those moments where you think, well, wait a minute, you know, what's going on? And then I showed it to my son and I said, look at this. And he said, that's not supposed to happen. And then his next words were, Mom, if you make me something, I'll wear it. So that was my challenge. And I took it very seriously. I started to look for better materials. I wanted to make a better design. I did a ton of research. I spoke with a lot of surgeons. I spoke with specialists that dealt with, you know, emergencies when someone has been cut on the neck, whether it was from a skate blade or something else. And I learned a lot about just the, you know, anatomical structure of the neck. And so that's how we came up with the design.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. And definitely,
Thanks.
like you said, it's, you know, so many times they do ride down, or you see guys taping them, or, you know, it kind of doesn't even serve the purpose. Like you said, these are the dangerous areas kind of downwards here. And usually those are exposed. I know a lot of times, even I was just thinking back as you said that when I was a kid, I always wore one connected to my shirt. And then, you know, the shoulder pads kind of sag it down, and it's really not doing anything, right?
Yeah. You know, it's funny because I just think boys will do, you know, boys and girls that are playing now will do just about anything if they're told they have to wear a neck guard. Even at, you know, the worlds that were just played, the players that were told they had to wear one, they were cutting them open and removing stuff inside. Like if there was foam or anything thick, and you'd see like a piece of, you know, a flap of material hanging down. And then you see the guys and the girls that are wearing one that just sit here. And I can't stress enough that your carotid and jugular are right here, right? Your big jugular vein sits right here. So I don't know if you saw, but there was a young man, I think he was 9, in Wyoming just a few months ago. And he had a big, thick, I don't know what the brand was, neck guard on. And he took a skate blade to his neck. And what happened was it did save him right here, but it deflected the blade up. And he has a cut, if you saw the photo, right? And that's what happened. It deflected the blade. It actually turned it and then kind of went like this. And on one hand, yay, right? There wasn't this big, deep cut, but this is still super important. And I I think it's important to wear a neck guard. Wear a neck guard that you want to wear and that's comfortable, but wear one that's going to give you great coverage. It doesn't have to be skate armor, but if we could have moved that young man so he didn't have to worry about it deflecting up, and it didn't do that, and it would just be a great story about how a neck guard saved his life. That would be awesome.
Absolutely. Thankfully, we're starting to see more mandates for neck guards, and knock on wood, the new CBA for the NHL will be mandating that in 2026,
couple of years.
2027. So
Yep.
we are definitely trending in the right direction. But take me back a little bit to the early days, Teri. What were those first weeks, months, years looking like when you were trying to come up with the perfect prototype, doing your research? How many kicks at the can did it take to find the model or design that you initially ended up with there?
Yeah, great question. Lots of iterations, right? So you typical kind of entrepreneur, right? You go and you have this idea and you may draw it out, or you may grab duct tape and scissors and, some cloth or a towel, and you start just cutting. And I definitely did all of those things. My kids were my guinea pigs. I was constantly like, okay, try this on. Okay, now wear this at practice. And they're like, I'm not wearing that at practice. I'm like, yes, you are. Um, I think the most challenging thing for me was finding the cut resistant material. There are so many newer materials out there now, which is great. There's some incredible materials, mostly coming out of Europe, actually.
Interesting.
Yeah, but at the time, every neck guard had Kevlar in it. And Kevlar is a great ballistics material. So if you want to stop a bullet, that's going to help you out a lot. But it's not a cut-proof material. So what hockey companies were doing, they were making it thicker. So neck guards were getting thicker. Yes. Because they were adding more layers of Kevlar. Because of course it's harder to cut through, 5 pieces of paper than it is 1 piece of paper. And that was just becoming untenable, I think, for a lot of hockey players. Like, it's hot and it doesn't breathe. And so I was hell bent on finding something better. And I must have spent, I don't know, probably easily over 1,000 hours just searching on the internet and making phone calls and having different fabrics sent to me, but 1,000 hours of research easily, trying to find it. And I literally just kind of stumbled upon SpectraGuard and called Honeywell and bothered them until someone actually called me back. They were making the fabric at the time for the Department of Defense. And it was kind of a secretive, like, you can't ship it overseas. You can't, have to keep it here in the US. And I told them I have no intention of shipping it overseas. I'm going to have it cut here. It has to be cut with a laser, right? It's one of those other important things. I wish, there was some information about neck guards. If you're making a neck guard and you can use a rotary cutter to cut the cut resistant material, that seems like very counterintuitive. So we cut the Spectra with a laser. I had to find a laser cutter, one that would work and had, work with this fabric and had the right laser, because this fabric is really tough to cut. So the company I use, is actually fairly local to me, and they have a huge laser machine that's very, very strong. And they set it up to almost the highest setting on the machine. Yeah, but it's nice and it's good. I think, I think for any entrepreneurs or anyone that's got a product idea, I would strongly recommend, you make it very excited about your product. And maybe it's a no-brainer product, but make sure that you have all the information in your back pocket. Make sure that you have, the vendors that you deal with, make sure that they're good people and they're not there for a quick buck, or that they're going to go out of business quickly, because you can get a big order and all of a sudden not be able to produce the product. You can spend a lot of money and then not have somebody buy the product. I think the research is really what's going to save you 90% of the time. It's just it's a huge part of it. I think it's just, if you go slow in your creative process, it will help you tremendously in the future, because you'll have mostly all your ducks in a row. There's going to be things that come and smack you upside the head that you didn't even think about. But, it's the way you react to things that kind of determines your success most of the time.
Yeah.
So, that would be, for any entrepreneurs out there, I would definitely say do your research, test your product, and talk to people who are smarter than you and surround yourself with people who do things really well, much better than you do. I have a ton of people around me that do things much better than I do because I'm only getting older, and, technology and AI and all that stuff is it can be overwhelming. So,
Yeah. No, I think that's well said. I couldn't agree more. I think, especially now today, like you say, with technology, AI, et cetera, there is such a be first rush to market with every product, regardless of if it's physical, software, whatever it is. People are trying to get it out the door so quickly. Whereas, like you said, to actually make a difference and actually understand what you're protecting and how you're improving what's already out there, it took a lot of time and it took a lot of research, no doubt. What did the business evolution look like for you, Teri? How has it changed? How has the growth kind of happened over, it's been quite a few years that you've been working on this now. How has it grown and evolved over time for you?
So when I first started this, it was a side gig. I had a full-time job. And so I was working, and it was just, I set up a little website on GoDaddy because that was pretty much all that existed at the time. And I would just come home and be like, oh, okay, there's an order for 1 or 2 or whatever, and just ship them out. Then I had more people asking, you should go and put this in the retail stores. And so I went down that sort of rabbit hole because what I learned is, there's really 2 big companies in hockey. And it's very hard to get in with retailers because of that. And we don't make, skates and sticks, and we focus on this one thing because I'll back up a little bit. I didn't plan on making skate armor like a big company or actually making it a company at all. I had gone to a USA Hockey meeting, their safety committee meeting, and I showed my product and I said, here's what I've come up with. Here's my son's neck guard that I cut through. And mind you, the 2 big hockey companies, their product development people were there, their managers were there. And I just gave my spiel about, listen, it's not a matter of if, it's when. Someone's going to get caught. Someone will die from this. It's happened in the past. Why aren't we making improvements to this? And why isn't it mandated? And their response to me was, it's not mandated because we know there's issues with neck guards. Once we find a standard, then we will mandate neck guards, right?
Interesting.
So I was, okay, great. So a couple things happened. One of the big companies approached me right after that meeting and said they were really excited. They wanted to work with me, all the good stuff. And then they tried to back engineer it. I was fine. I had a patent and I had a good attorney. So then I reached out to Dr. Michael Stewart, who was on their safety committee. He works from the NHL down. And I said, what's the next step? You said you were going to mandate them if you could find a standard. I think I have something that's really, kind of setting the standard here. Mm-hmm. So he said, we're going to do a study. We're going to get the money from USA Hockey. We're going to build an apparatus that best simulates a neck laceration from a skate blade. So it took them a couple years to build the apparatus, get the money from USA Hockey. And after they did the testing, I was told that skate armor was the only neck guard, the only brand that was not cut through, and it had performed the best. So I had said, so is this going to be the recommended standard? And I was told it was a very ambiguous answer. So I thought that was kind of odd. They went to I think it was the summer meetings the following year. This was 2015. And my understanding, they said, if we're going to have a standard, skate armor is the standard. And the safety committee, who has, a few people on it, a couple doctors, but it also has actually more than 2 big major companies on it. They quickly voted it down to set a mandate and have a standard. And so at that point, I kind of knew what I was up against. And I was like, all right, well, I had my little business on the side, wasn't really pushing it too much, but that's when I was I was kind of pissed off, to be honest with you, right? I was like, wait a minute, do you really care about kids? Do you care about hockey players? You want more people to play, and you should make it as safe as you can. I don't want to bubble wrap my kids. They're going to play a sport. They're going to get hurt. I realize that. But if there's a potential for them to have a life-ending injury, that I care about, So not that I don't care about a broken leg or something, but I'm just saying. So then I started, I talked to retailers, and two things happened. One of the biggest retailers locked me out. They locked me out because I'm not a big company. And then another one that's out of Canada, that's very large in Canada. I would have really liked to work for them, except that by the time you jump through all of their hoops, you're not making any money.
Yes.
It's literally, okay, we want a marketing percentage kickback. We want you to pay. It's just like all of these different things in their contract they wanted me to sign off for. And I said that this doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I'm barely making any money. And for them, their response is, but you're getting into our product and, you're a brand and you're going to have brand recognition. But if no one's going to talk about my product over a Bauer or a CCM or a Shock Doctor, they'll just, because I had that experience, I tested it in some stores. And what I learned is there's no education on neck guards. So we went direct. I decided we're going to go direct. I sell to a handful of pro shops that are independently owned that have been with me from day one. They found out about me. They felt really, confident in the product, and they sell out all the time because they have it and they talk to people about it.
Education.
They educate people. But when you start to talk about the large retailers, and I think any product that you sell, right? If you create a product, you have to make sure, don't think, oh my gosh, I'm going to get into, whatever it is, Walmart or whatever. You better read the fine print. You better figure out if you can not only meet that demand, but also meet everything, all the requirements that they have.
Yeah. Sustain
and then if
it.
someone's going to, I'm going to sell it to you once, I might go into debt for that first time, but I think I can make money over time. But chances are you won't, because no one's going to be there to tell them the difference between the name brand that's well established and your brand new brand.
Yeah.
So I think it's, it's something, again, kind of doing the research, testing things. It's really important. But that was, it was one of those moments again where I just went, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it basically online. I'm going to go to tournaments and talk to parents, which I do. I have great customers. I have a lot of repeat customers. I did make the product so it lasts 3 to 5 years. If you take care of it, it lasts 3 to 5 years. Most of the kids that wear them outgrow them. And then the parents are calling me and saying, okay, I need it. I need more now because he's shot up, 6 inches over the summer. But that's our business model is to be educating people. I'm not a hard sell on skate armor. I'm just like, here's why I designed it. Here's how it works. And you can make your decision. Because again, it's something you're putting on your body. I realize, right? You want to be comfortable with it. But I would say 99.8% of the time, if I say, put on a competitor's neck guard and then put on skate armor, because we made it really soft. Again, my son is just everything irritated his skin. So I made it like a t-shirt, try and make it, comfy. So we sell it, we do okay. People just don't know about us because I don't spend a lot of money on marketing. I spend it all on just manufacturing. And, after I'm making a jump here, so I hope that's okay.
Absolutely.
Was doing it part-time. Then a couple things happened. I don't know, Teddy Balkin, the young man that died in Connecticut, he passed. I talked to a couple of parents that were there, and really started thinking, okay, I've got to do a better job. I feel very strongly, right? I just feel very strongly as a parent, of hockey players. Like, we should not, the people that were there, not a lot, whatever. And then, Adam Johnson's death occurred, and that really did strike the chord because there were 10,000 people in attendance. It was on social media. And that's when I was like, all right, well, this is like serious. I'm really, really going for it now. So a couple of things needed to come and kind of kick me in the butt. And it was just it's a weird feeling for me, Nick, because when you make a product like ours and you just feel like, man, if they had just been wearing this, I think that they would still be with us. I can't say that with 100%, I'm absolutely sure, but I do feel very strongly. And, I had, Adam Johnson's mom called me one day. I was driving to a hockey game and, the phone rang and it was kind of late, but I picked it up anyway. And, I said, hi, this is Teri. How can I help you? And this woman says, hi, this is Sue Johnson. I'm Adam Johnson's mom. And I remember just like having a cold sweat come over me and thinking, do I pull over? What do I do? Oh my gosh. And again, I was so thrown off by it. I said, I'm sorry, what is your name again? And she said it. And I said, what can I help you with? And we just started this really great conversation. And she said, my family and I have been doing research on neck guards, and we keep coming back to your neck guard. And so we would really like to get behind your neck guard and help spread the word about the importance of wearing them. And it was interesting because she's on the same kind of belief that I am, which is it shouldn't be a hard sell. It's just, here's why we make ours the way we do. You're going to make your decision, but please know that there's something that, we believe is much better to wear. And so we just started working together a few months ago. She's an amazing woman. I so appreciate her strength and her bravery after the fact, talking about Adam, who sounds like he was just an amazing guy. And, I'm sorry that he's still not here with us.
Yeah.
And
No.
the same for Teddy, of course, too, but it's just, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, horrible tragedies there. And, like we said off air before, it's not frequent. You don't see it all the time, but the frequency is increasing as the game gets faster, the blades get sharper, bodies get bigger on the ice. All these factors play into it, right? So, again, thanks for kind of the insight and walking through the journey there. And one question that I did have there, Teri, is a lot of times with safety products in general, it does unfortunately take bad news or tragedies or incidents to impact change. And I'm curious if you've seen that a little bit, that after scary moments is when people are more inclined or their eyes are open to it, similar to how you first started the product, right? And you hear it all the time with bike helmets or with seatbelts or whatever it is. It sometimes takes something a little close to home, and heaven forbid, not a tragedy, but an incident or a scare to open your eyes to, oh boy, I should be taking better care of this, right?
Right. It's funny because after Adam's death, I was inundated, neck guards sold out, right? Everywhere. So I'm inundated with calls from NHL, trainers and AHL trainers. And they're like, hey, do you have anything? We'll buy whatever you have. And I would say, okay, let's slow down. Let me just tell you, like, here's why we are, here's what we make. And there's the tabs. And I haven't met an NHL player yet that appreciates the tabs. If anything, they want the invisible neck guard still, right? They want it to be small. But at least the guys were willing to try it. And I did have a number of guys, try it and say it. But one thing that just really sticks out of my mind and really irritated me was one of the Detroit Red Wings players was wearing it during a game, which he wasn't supposed to be doing, actually, because I didn't jump through the hoops and fill out the paperwork and, but thank God the NHL was okay with it, because I called them right away and I said, he's wearing my neck guard. And they're like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's fine. So, but anyway, what I had found was, the trainer cut down the tabs. So I saw him and he had literally taken this has an impact piece in it too. Sorry.
Sure.
But he had cut them down. So it was just, like this. And I remember, because there was a close up of him. He had scored a goal and he, went over the boards and sat down on the bench and he leaned forward to get some water. And I looked and I was like, oh, okay, he's wearing skate. What did he do to the neck guard? Like, he's wearing skate armor. What did he do to it? And I just thought that's just, it was a little idiotic for me, right? Like the whole purpose of what we do, you want to protect those important parts, and to see that. But every trainer I talked to, every equipment manager I talked to said the same thing. This is going to blow over. After a week or so, none of these guys is going to be wearing a neck guard. So out of the, not counting goalies, I think there's like 700 players in the NHL. I think the last time I saw, there were like 50 that wear a neck guard. And there's very few of them that wear any type of high profile neck guard. But any high profile neck guard will roll down. It will scrunch down because there's no structure to it, right? There's nothing to hold it up. It's better than nothing. I'll say that. It's better than nothing. So I'm okay with that.
Hopefully, like we say, more and more players wear it, and moving forward with the mandates that have been added. And again, I think the more mandates that are in the lower levels of hockey, hopefully they continue wearing it because they're used to it, they're comfortable with it, and kind of grow up with it. And again, obviously a different product, but one that always surprises me in the NHL is the ear guards, or the ear pieces, right? I think there's like 3 or 4 guys in the NHL that wear them, and there's videos online of them getting chirped for wearing them. And even in the crappy junior hockey that I played, people would get chirped for wearing them. And I'm like, I don't know, like I want to be able to hear. I don't need to take a butt end or a frozen puck or whatever it is, right? It's hopefully as people continue to wear it growing up and become used to it, it becomes more more seen at the highest levels.
And acceptable. I think, it's one of the things Sue Johnson said to me was, she said, I don't understand why it's like these NHL players have no idea the impact they could have on a young kid who's thinking or already playing hockey, to say, here's why you should wear this. The thing is it's hard to be like, do as I say, not as I do. So they're not going to wear it. But I think there's a way that they could also go around it and say, I'm an adult. I'm going to make my decisions, whatever. But, you guys, you're still learning, whatever. They could make such an impact. And, I think it's just the decision, and I get it. 'Cause you're right. Mason got chirped for wearing a neck guard. I know guys get chirped for, they don't do it now. Right. But how sad that it takes what has happened to happen. But it's ironic, right? So if you look at a football player, I mean, they've got the cage on the front, they've got the helmets, and now they have what are the extra big helmets? What are those called? Remember for concussion? I can't think of it.
The extra padding.
Yeah, the extra padding. And then they've got all this great, everything around them, and nobody's chirping them, right?
No, sometimes a neck roll.
Neck roll. Nobody chirps them. They're like, I get it, dude. I get it. I've had that injury, right? Whereas hockey players are just so like, dude, I broke my jaw. I got to wear this stupid, cage or whatever. I can't wait to take it off. And I'm like, you guys are like, hockey players are some of the smartest people. Like if you look at graduation rates from college and what they go on and do, and yet they can be so dumb about this. It's just really, and I love hockey players. Don't get me wrong. I mean, my kids are hockey players, but I just feel like the NHL could really make an impact on this. And, when Adam died, instead of hanging up jerseys at every rink, I think they should have all been wearing neck guards, even if it was for the one game. Wear a neck guard. Show them that it's cool. It's okay. No one's going to chirp you. No one's going to say anything. It's part of what we do is we try and push that. So it's, for you entrepreneurs out there, you're going to have to shift a lot with marketing campaigns and things like that. It's nice if you're small and you can pivot, but, you also have to choose the difficult things sometimes and say, I'm going to put my head down. I'm just going to keep doing this no matter if people say horrible things or, try and shut me out of the market or put me out of business or whatever. Like, I know I'm doing the right thing.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. And you are definitely doing the right thing with Skate Armor.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. Thank
absolutely. You. What is next for yourself, Teri? Where do you see Skate Armor going? What do you have on the calendar the rest of the year here? Tell the listeners, what they can expect from you guys here.
So, right now we're working on building up inventory for the season. We've got our regular non-impact net guard, and then we also have an impact net guard. So if you have a player that likes to go down on the ice, block shots a lot, all that stuff, the impact piece is nice, but if you don't want to use it, you just take it out. It's fine. We have our shirts, which we're actually the first shirt to offer the removable impact protection at the neck as well. So you have full circle cut protection, and then a piece that also, it's really nice. Let me pull it out of this real quick. It's really nice because it's super flexible. Again, this was material that was developed for the Department of Defense. So it's malleable, and we have these cuts in it. So it bends. If you put your neck down, it doesn't stop you from looking down if the puck's in your skates. And then it also covers where your carotid and jugular are, because you can get hit there. It can put you into cardiac arrest, which has happened, and a player has died. I think it was 2 years ago. There was another goalie that died from that a number of years ago. So we're working on just getting all that ready to go. With the shirt, I also just added cut resistant sleeves, and then also a little hide sleeve on the top for impact. So from slashes. I talked to a surgeon in Milwaukee, an emergency doctor there, and I was talking to him about cuts. And he said, I love what you're doing. I found him because he buys our products, and he wrote me.
No way.
So I was picking his brain, and
Yeah.
he said, I love the cut resistance. I think that's great. He said, but you know what I see during the hockey season on a regular basis? He said, I see 5 of them a week on average in Minnesota. It's broken wrists from slashes. So that's like, oh, all right. Well, I think I can use this material that I use for the neck, and it's a solid piece. So like, good slash. You know, Mason tested it out for me, and took some good flashes. So like literally told his friends, or hit it against a metal thing. I was like, okay, I can't be here for this.
Yeah, I can't watch.
I can't watch, because if it fails, I'm really going to be sorry. But, and he said, yeah, this works great. So we have that in there too. So we're just, trying to build. And, my biggest thing, I'm really grateful to be on your podcast, Nick, because, not a lot of people know about us. We're sort of this little secret. I have people tell me all the time, I wish I would have known about you. People that have bought other products, and then the product failed or rolls down or whatever. And then they find me and they say, usually at a hockey tournament, and they're like, where have you been? I'm like, well, in my tiny little town in Wisconsin, but we're doing our best to get the word out that this is what we do. And, it's something very close to my heart, and, I'm going to keep doing it regardless of, of what everybody else is doing. Just trying to improve these products and make hockey safer and more enjoyable that way. I think for parents and loved ones that are watching, people, your kids and your loved ones on the ice. So.
Absolutely. And the
Yeah.
one last thing that I wanted to ask there, Teri, is, you touched on your kids throughout this, and small town Wisconsin, and how small the hockey world is. But, what does this mean for you guys as a family? You touched on your daughter, Zoe, helping you out there, and she's the one that put us in touch here. Your son, Mason, obviously well known in the hockey world there as well. So, as a family, talk to me about Skate Armor, as a family business, and helping the small world that is hockey. What does that mean to you?
It's been an interesting ride, right? I married a professional hockey coach, and we moved around a lot. That's part of being in hockey, and if in that realm of it, if you're a coach or, someone that works with the team, right? Whether it's player, coach, equipment, it's like, so, I learned a lot about hockey, through him, of course. And then, I feel very lucky. I think the hockey community is amazing. I think the majority of people are very kind, and they're just trying to figure out the game, especially, new parents that have all kinds of questions, and they want to be educated. And I just think we can do a better job about that. So I've always worked with my kids to say, tell them, you don't have to tell them about Skate Armor. You can tell them about other products, but say what you like and what's worked for you. And, it is interesting. I get questions all the time from mostly new hockey parents. They're like, what size breezers am I getting them? How important are the skates that can be $300 or $1,500? What am I getting them? And when my kid's growing so fast, and And then just the whole, should I be sending them to camp? Should I be spending all this money? Should we be doing a travel team? There's so much out there that people can be educated on. And I think, the industry as a whole could really improve upon that with safety and, but then also just getting more people involved. I think, but my kids have been just an absolute blessing because they've been my guinea pigs. Like I said, I mean, Zoe and Mason playing, my oldest daughter doesn't play, but she's worked in a hockey rink. She ran the concession stand at Capitol Ice Arena for years. You don't mess with her. She knows her stuff. And she knows every hockey player that comes in, and she knew how they behaved and what they would do. And, I feel very blessed. I mean, I think, with Mason making it to the NHL was a big, he worked so hard. And it taught me a lot. And Zoe playing in college, again, they teach me every day that what I'm doing is very important, but also just it shows me how good the hockey community is, as a whole. So I think, our journey as a family has been very difficult at times. But I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade it for the world because it's taught me so much and made me appreciate this little niche of the hockey industry. So
That's awesome. And again, thank you very much for sharing your story. And you are doing an awesome thing. The entire family is there with Skate Armor. Hopefully listening to this is, if not going to buy this for themselves, their kids, they're at least looking it up and educating themselves on Skate Armor, safety in hockey injuries, all the above. There's a lot of things we can improve around the safety of our ever-evolving game, and happy to say that Skate Armor is definitely helping with that, Teri. So thank you very much for taking the time to tell us more about it today and tell us more about yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Well, and I'll say the Mayo Clinic studies are on the Skate Armor website, so it's skate-armor.com. Gotta add the hyphen. But you can look up all the information when you're trying to learn more about what's going to work best for you or your child, or your hockey player. Please feel free to hop on and look at that because to me, that's just a great starting point to learn about neck guards.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely it is. And again, thank you so much for the time, Teri. And
thank you, Nick. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And to all the listeners, we will see you next week for another edition of the Working in Hockey podcast.